But here is what you have to remember if you do genuinely want to be a superhero. There's only one that you can actually be, and his name is Batman. You become so rich you can do whatever the hell you want, but even then, this is how it would go down. You would bat rope, whatever the hell you want to call it, your way into a fight. You would be there with all your gadgets, somebody would get a gun, and they'd shoot you right in the face, and then you would be dead. So I'm a board a-hole here, and let's be completely honest with ourselves. As soon as we are born into this world and go pop out of our mother's womb, we want to be superheroes, be that Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Captain America, Thor, Hulk. You pick the one you want and you hope that it happens. Well, the person we're talking about today decided, well, if they're doing it in the comics and they're doing it in the movies, why don't I do it to myself as a human being? This is not a good idea. But yes, teenager injected himself with Mercury in an attempt to be like X-Men superhero. Now, of course, this is something you never want to be doing for reasons we are about to be established, but also we can break it right down. You shouldn't even be eating that much tuna from a can because of the amount of mercury that can build up in your system. And if you go to Google right now and type that in, bodybuilding tuna mercury, you can read a bunch of horrible stories about people that did eat much tuna and basically got mercury poisoning. So just to make it very, 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 very clear, never do this. But a teenage boy injected himself with mercury in an attempt to give himself superpowers. A 15-year-old boy is said to have wanted to emulate Marvel's X-Men superhero Mercury, but instead ended up with painful ulcers that refused to heal. He is also reported to have allowed spiders to bite him in the hopes that he could become like Spider-Man. So obviously neither of these things work, and I'll show you what happened to the poor person when we do get there in a second. But here is what you have to remember if you do genuinely want to be a superhero. There's only one that you can actually be, and his name is Batman. You become so rich you can do whatever the hell you want, but even then, this is how it would go down. You would bat rope, whatever the hell you want to call it, your way into a fight. You would be there with all your gadgets, somebody would get a gun, and they'd shoot you right in the face, and then you would be dead. This unusual case was written up in a report in the National Center for Biotechnology Information, which detailed the injuries the unnamed child was left with after he deliberately injected mercury into his body. The report states the boy visited a trauma center in India with multiple non-healing ulcers on the left forearm 2 months following trauma by a sharp object. Medics suspected that substance abuse may have been a factor, so carried out a psychiatric evaluation. At this stage, the youngster revealed he had intentionally injected himself with mercury he'd managed to get out of a thermometer at least 3 times. The report goes on to say the boy was inspired by the Marvel character Mercury from the X-Men comics, also mentioning a film entitled X-Men Wolverine. It added that interestingly, he had a past history of multiple bites by spiders to stimulate Spider-Man. Surprisingly, he had no psychiatric problems and a normal IQ. Now, this kid was lucky because he didn't really know what he was doing when it came to injecting, so he was basically subcutaneously, whatever the hell that word is, injecting, which means it didn't actually get into him properly. It was basically just sitting beneath the skin. But he had to have these ulcers cut out. That's right, cut out, because they wouldn't heal by themselves. And of course, he had to have a skin graft, because essentially what they had to do is like when somebody misses a golf shot, they had to like hack away at it, so there's going to be a massive lump, and they would put skin over it. Now, the reason I wanted to do this video today, apart from the craziness of that headline, is, as happens on the internet, this led me down the Google well hole, and I have found a bunch of people that actually want to be superheroes in real life. And in at 10, we start with Night Warrior. Now, this mother hubbard is roaming around Manchester somewhere, which is like 3 hours from me. In fact, I was in Liverpool the other day, so I could have popped across and seen him. And although he is a gardener by day, this is a few years ago, this article, he was 19, so he's probably early 20s now. At night time, he would become Night Warrior, but with a K, obviously, because ha, funny. And he would go and try and stop drunk people from running amok. Although it is hard to actually criticize him, though, because when he's not doing that, he used to take food and give it to homeless people. So actually, Night Warrior is the greatest person ever. Moving on to San Diego, California, we have Mr. Extreme, which has to be the lamest name for a superhero ever. And he is actually a security guard in the day, but in nighttime, he just basically gets a big bat and he roams the streets around his house looking for people to smash in the head with a bat if they're doing something that he deems that they shouldn't be doing. Now, he did actually retire in 2020, and this could be an age thing, but that just makes me laugh. Surely a superhero is not allowed to retire. Imagine Superman retired. Superman, my baby, she's drowning right now. Can you help her? I'm really sorry. I'm reading my newspaper right now. You must leave me alone. So you have to remember, Uncle Ben told us this. With great power comes great responsibility. You're not just allowed to retire. It then gets very specific because next up is Wheel Clamp Man. Now, I don't need to tell you what this guy does, but he roams the streets of Australia in Perth, and if you have been clamped, he will saw off the clamp for you. This is kind of very interesting because I was having this conversation with somebody the other day about parking fines and how ridiculous it is. But if you live in Perth, Australia, you can just park wherever you want, and you just have to hope that Clamp Man comes and saves your ass. Now, I guess this is another problem when it comes to superheroes. If you are in trouble, you just have to hope that Superman or Batman or Spider-Man isn't busy. And I suppose it's the same here. If you come back and there's a clamp, you can either pay to get rid of it or go, well, I hope Clamp Man turns up. So really, you can't rely on a superhero at all. All the way from New York is Dark Guardian, and I don't even need to tell you anything because he got caught in the act.
Today's Saturday, March 7th. We're at Washington Square Park. We found out where some drug dealers are, and we're going to force them out of the park. You got to go. You got to get out of the park. I got you on video. I got you on audio selling drugs. You got to leave.
So apparently he just goes around this park and tells people you're not allowed to deal drugs in the park, which I guess is kind of good. Captain Australia is next. I'm not going to tell you where he is able to fight crime, but he has made kind of like loads of claims, even saying that he once stopped like a crime in progress because a bunch of people were drunk. Now, you never actually know this is true or not, but when you look at his costume, I think I would just run away because it kind of looks insane. Now, this is the best one. From you over the UK, it is Shadow. Not only has he actually trained in ninjutsu, so he is basically Batman, but he also made himself some kind of hearing device, so he'd be able to hear things further away and then quite literally run and save people, which he claims to have done multiple times. And when you look at him compared to the rest, if I was going to bet on any of them, it would be him. As for Thanatos, I don't even know. Now, he's actually a good guy because he goes around on the streets of Canada and he hands out food to people that need it. But if I was homeless and I saw this guy coming at me, I'd be convinced that I was about to die. It genuinely is one of the scariest costumes that I've ever seen in my life. And I also, if I ever meet it, just want to go, why did you think you needed the hat? Phoenix Jones from Seattle, Washington, I think most people remember because he made headline news to the point even people over here in the UK were talking about him. And when you look at his costume, yes, he has actually made it so it's bulletproof and nightproof too. Now, he has got into so many scrapes over the years to the point he had to basically retire from doing it because he just kept getting his ass whipped, even though he did help a couple of people. But again, this ties into what we were saying earlier. You just cannot be a superhero. It's just not gonna happen. I know we all want, but Phoenix Jones tried, and he basically almost died. So there you go. We've done that, and remember, you shouldn't be injecting yourself with anything unless you 100% know what it is, and you 100% know it should be going into your body. That's not for me to judge, but I just felt it was important to say it in a video like this. In fact, my message is do not inject anything into you. If you are going to, make sure a medical professional is doing it, and that a medical professional has said to you, yes, we need to inject this into your ass, and then everything should be okay. Now, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Always good for the algorithm. And nothing else, plus we can have a little bit of a chat. Hit the bell, ding, ding, so you know when other videos are going live. There is another video on the screen. Please do give it a click. Otherwise, I've got merchandise, simonmiller.bigcartel.com, on Patreon, patreon.com/Simon316. Come follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SimonMiller316. I'm in Greg Doucette's brand new cookbook. Use code Simon15. All the information in the description below. You can also get a cameo from me. Just go to Cameo and search my name. But otherwise, have a terrific day, and I'll see you soon.